So about my mother's email that I called rage baiting, somebody said, how is it rage baiting? Let's take every line your mother said and break it down. My mom first said, get out, cook for yourself. Fair enough. I don't cook for myself. She cooks me dinner. I gotta get more independent. That line is right. That's not necessarily rage baiting, although it's critical of me. She said, I'm done doing for you. Yeah, again, I gotta get more independent. Then she calls me a nasty monster. That's rage baiting. Why is she calling me a monster? She says, go spread hate and accusations on the street. Okay, obviously I accuse her of all sorts of horrible things on the internet, like being a covert narcissist and a monster behind a mask. So, obviously that's fair. I say she's a sadist and sadistic. She says, I am so stupid doing anything for you. Obviously when you accuse somebody of being a sadistic monster, I guess it is stupid to do something for them, because they're not appreciative of what you're doing for them. So, again, another fair point. She says, cruel, evil, unhappy man. That's nasty. Why is she calling me cruel, evil, and unhappy? Even when I'm mad at my mother, I don't say these hurtful things. She says, you refuse to try to move ahead. Yeah, I sit in solitude day after day, posting on social media. It's another fair point. She says, you do this. Yeah, ultimately at 38 years old, you can't blame your mother. You gotta take responsibility and blame yourself. She says, you twist reality to keep yourself a victim. Yeah, I rarely see it from my mother's point of view, and I often like to be the victim. I like to play the victim, and I like to say how she's sadistically persecuting me. She says, grow up. Yeah, I'm a disabled adult child. I behave like a child at 38 years old. She said, recover or get out now. Maybe some people might say I'm mentally unwell and I need mental health recovery. I need to, and if I don't get mental health recovery, I need to, get out of her house. She said, I'm done. She's done doing for me. She says, either go to groups and recover, or it's time for a group home. Yeah, I'm 38, what is this? She's taking care of me like a child at 38? She says, you are unable to move ahead. If you prove you can't function as an independent adult, you're gonna need a group home. She says, all you do is demand things and blame others. Yeah, I demand dinner, I demand food. She says, it's time you start this week. I'm not waiting for spa housing or finding a place. I am going to evict you. Yeah, realistically, I should be kissing my mother's feet that she allows me to live at her house. She could kick me on the streets and make me homeless or put me in the hospital. Then she says, you're a nasty, ungrateful, cruel person. That's nasty. Why is she saying these hurtful things? She says, you refuse to help yourself, live independently, you refuse to get responsibility. Yeah, I don't have adult responsibilities. I behave like a 38-year-old man-child. She says, you torture your family, the only ones who love you. I don't think I torture my family. I think this is rage baiting in some ways. I think it's hostile dependency. My mother's frustrated that I'm dependent on her, and I'm frustrated being dependent on my mother. So, that's not exactly a valid point. She says, enough! We are old, sick, we've all had enough. Yeah, my mother is approaching 70 years old. So is my father and stepfather. They've had enough, And she says, you blew it. Well, that's dramatic. Obviously I've had many chances throughout my 20s and 30s to succeed. But it's never over until it's over. But yeah, some of this is rage baiting. you know, but there is some valid points there too, so try to see it from my mother's perspective.